Hello soulmates, welcome back to Eleganza TV. Today I'll guide you through the process on how to sew this funnel corset with a separate bustier. So to keep this video simple and easy to follow, I'll break this tutorial into two parts. So this first video will be focusing on the funnel corset, and in the next one we'll complete the bustier section. So this way we can tackle each part step by step. Now let's dive right into the video, and do not forget to like, subscribe and share if you enjoy this tutorial. Alright, let's dive right in. For this funnel corset, I made use of a corset mesh, and I already went ahead to cut my pattern pieces with sewing allowance. So I cut each pattern into 4 pieces of the corset mesh so that I'll be able to double each of the sides. So after doing that, the added allowance was 0.5 inch on each of the sides. Then for the side part of the front and the side part of the back, I used 1 inch. Then you can see that at the top and at the bottom of the corset, I did not add any allowance because I don't want to alter the length of my corset. So I'll show you each of the materials used for making this funnel corset as we go. But for full details, you can check the description box below. So now with our pieces cut, let's move on to assembling the corset to sew. As we begin assembling, I'll be doubling the corset mesh for each side of the pattern. This is going to give the corset extra strength and structure. So if you're making it with a plain fabric, you're going to cut your lining the same way you cut this, and then same way you're sewing your main fabric, you sew your lining and then you turn it neatly. So after arranging the corset like so, I'm just using my pattern pieces to check that they are correct. Then I went ahead to notch the half length seams of the corset so I'll be able to know which sides go together. So know that the corset mesh doesn't have front and back. So the next thing I'll be doing now is to place all the pattern pieces together and then join with the 0.5 inch seam allowance I added when cutting. So you're going to be stitching following the shape. I'll just be using my pins to hold them down the part I'll be sewing on. So guys, this is how it's going to be like. The seams that you've joined is going to be appearing on the front, and then this other side will be on the back. So this is just to make the corset neat on the inside. So the next thing I want to do now is to join the back pieces. So for this back pattern, I also doubled my corset mesh just like I did for the front. And then after assembling the pattern like so, I will be joining the sides with the 0.5 inch seam allowance. So guys, after doing that, this is how the both of the back pieces is going to look like. I'll take it over to my sewing machine and stitch. Now that all the pattern pieces are joined with a ½ inch seam, I'm trimming down the seam allowances. This is going to make the corset to be neat and make space for adding the boning channels. Then after doing that, I'll go ahead to iron the seam to make them relaxed. So guys, I've ironed the seams flat. Now I'll show you how to add boning to your corset. So then I'll be sewing each of the boning pieces on the joint seam allowance, which is the rough side. So the inside we have a smooth and seamless finish. So for the boning casing, I have this cutout fabric here that I'll be using to encase my bone. The wideness of this fabric is 2.5 inches. Then for the length, I just made it longer so that I can sew on multiple lines. So I have my regiline boning here. What you're going to do now is to place your regiline boning in between the fabric like so, and then you're just going to stop stitch close to the boning. So I'll take it over to my sewing machine and then just sew along that line till I get to the end. So guys, this is it after encasing my regiline boning in between the fabric. So next I'll be doing now is to trim a little bit of excess from the rough edges. So after trimming it, next I'll be doing now is to fold in the excess that I have. Then I'll place it on the line I want to sew on my corset. So after folding it like so, you're going to be top stitching on the initial stitch of the boning casing. So I'll take it over to my sewing machine and top stitch just like that till I get to the end, and then I'll cut out the excess from it. And then after doing that, you're going to top stitch on the other side of the boning channel. So this is one technique for encasing your boning. In my previous corset videos on this channel, I featured other ways to encasing your boning. So I'll be linking some of the videos down in the description box so you can go ahead to check them out and do whichever one is easier for you. So the next thing I'm doing now is to rule other lines that I'll be sewing bunny on. So you can go ahead to do several style lines that you want to sew your bunny on. So guys, this is for the front. Now let's move on to the back. So my back fabric, which is these two pieces, I'll also be doing the same thing for my back fabric. I'll be fixing my boning channel to that straight line. Then if you want to add more boning channel, you are free to do that. So guys, at this point I've gone ahead to sew all of my boning channels on the lines, as you can see, and then I went ahead to iron them to make them relaxed. So guys, if you're going to be doing the same boning styling that I did right here, you're going to first of all sew this shorter one that we have slanted that you see me pointing on before you sew the longer one, so that the rough edges will be covered up. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to join the sides of the corset together. Like I said, the smooth part is going to be on the inside. So this is how I'll be joining the side part. You're going to place the both wrong side together and then you'll be stitching on the front part. So I'm going to make use of my 1 inch seam allowance that I added. So guys, after pinning the side part together, I went ahead to mark my 1 inch seam allowance I'll be sewing on. So next I measured from my waistline to the hem of the corset, which is 5 inches. So I'll just keep that in mind. And then after sewing the side, you're going to trim the excess out of it so that you can fix your boning. So guys, I took it over to my sewing machine to show you how I fixed the boning channel to my corset. So first of all, you're going to be encasing your boning. You put your regiline boning in between your fabric and then you're going to be sewing closely to the boning. So after doing this, this is what I have. Now what I'll be doing next is to trim the excess that I have. You're going to be trimming a little bit of excess out of it so that you'll be able to fold it and the rough edges will not be coming out. So guys, ensure that you've trimmed the sides of the corset like so after joining it. Then you're going to fold in the excess of the boning channel like this, and then you'll be top stitching on the initial stitch that you have there. So guys, in case you don't quite understand what I'm saying, you can watch the video closely and you'll be able to get it. Or if you don't understand the process of the boning channel, then you can watch my previous tutorial on how I did boning channels for the other videos, and you can also do the same thing for this. So after sewing the boning to the end, I cut out the excess and then I'm trimming out all the rough edges. Then you're also going to be top stitching on the other side of the boning as well. So after you sew to the end, you're going to measure your waistline. So I measure the 5 inches upward from the hem line and then I bend that part, which is my waistline. So guys, after you're done with your boning channels, you're going to take it over to your ironing table and iron them to make them relaxed. So the next thing I want to do now is to fix the lacing bar for the center back. So I have this fabric that I cut out here and the length is going to be longer than your center back. Then you trim out the excess later on. Then for the wideness, I made it to be 4.5 inches. Then I ironed the interfacing to it and then I folded the both side, then folded it again looking like this. So on fold, I'm going to have 1.5 inches. So if you want your lacing bar to be wider than this, then you can go ahead to increase it to be 6 inches wide or 5 inches wide. So next, you're going to place the center back on the midpoint of your folded lacing bar like this. So when you place it on the middle line of the lacing bar, you're going to cover it up like so. And then I'll use my pin to secure it and then take it over to my sewing machine to top stitch on the both folded parts. So I'll be sewing on the both folded parts like this, and after doing that I'll create a space that is going to serve as my boning channel where I will insert my plastic bond to. Then also on the folded parts I'll also be sewing a boning channel there. So that is what I'll be doing now, and that middle space is where I'll be fixing my eyelet on. So guys, after fixing the lacing bar, this is what I have it looking like. So I'll be trimming out the excess that I have on both sides and then take it over to iron it to make it relaxed. So the next thing I want to do now is to hem the bottom of the corset. So what you're going to do is measure the bottom of the corset, whatever you have on the bottom of your corset, and then cut a fabric that you use to hem it. So then I went ahead to cut a fabric that I'll be using to hem the bottom. The wideness is 2.5 inches and the length is about 40 to 42 inches, which is longer than what I have on the bottom. So I came out by half an inch from the fabric so that I'll be able to turn the ending part of the corset like so. So what I'll be doing now is to sew on one side. You can start sewing from the back and then turn it over to the front. So I took it over to my sewing machine and then I'll show you how to hem the bottom of your corset. So like I said, you're going to come out by half an inch from the end of the fabric like this. So you fold it in like so, and then you just go ahead to start stitching with half an inch, sew straight till you get to the other end. So an easy way to do this, you can just go ahead to, when you cut out your bias strip, you iron the both side, iron half inch inward on the both side, so you can be able to get it, make it look like a bias, so it will be easy for you to hem the bottom of your corset. So guys, this is not something that should be new to you. If you've been watching any of our previous corset videos, then you should already know how to do this by now. But just in case you don't, and maybe you feel this video is not very detailed to your liking, then you can watch other sewing tutorials that I have on the channel, and I will link them in the description box below. So after sewing to the ending, you're going to cut out the excess that you have and then fold it in like so. Cut it to remain half an inch, then fold in the half an inch on the other end like so. So then after sewing, I just went ahead to trim out the boning that is too long on the bottom of the corset. So then after doing that, you're going to fold in the other side of the fabric like so. You fold it in with half an inch and then fold it again to top stitch on the rough edges. So I'll use my pin to hold it down so it will be easy for me to sew on. So guys, like I said before, to make it easier for you, you can just fold and iron the fabric that you want to use to hem the bottom of your corset like a bias, so you can follow the line and sew on. So guys, after hemming the bottom of the corset, I went ahead to iron it to make it relaxed. So the next thing I want to do now is to fix my plastic bone to all the boning channels. So I'll measure the length of the plastic bone on the corset, so ensure that it doesn't get to the top, so you have allowance to hem the top of the corset. So I'll just go ahead to continue measuring my plastic bone and then fix it in on all of the boning channels like I said before. So when you want to fix your plastic bone, you're going to need a filer to file the rough edges of your plastic bone. You can also make use of a lighter if you have a lighter. So guys, ensure that when you're fixing your plastic bone, it is not appearing on the other side. So you're going to fix the plastic bone in between the fabric so it doesn't appear on the wrong side. So guys, in case you find the waistline that is bent confusing, you're still going to be fixing your plastic bone to that same line. I just wanted to indicate the waistline by folding the bone like so. So guys, after fixing my boning, I left the slanted boning channel part. So I went ahead to lose the bottom of the corset, which is the part that I hemmed, so as to be able to fix my plastic bone to that part. So just in case you're doing the same boning styling like I did right here, ensure that you fix your plastic bone first before you hem the bottom of your gown, of your corset, sorry. So after fixing the boning, I'll be top stitching that part that I lost. So guys, the next thing I'll be doing now is to hem the top of the corset. So ensure that you fix all your plastic bone to your boning channels. So what I'll be doing now is to hem the back of the corset straight to the armhole. So I'll first of all measure the both of them to make sure that they are both equal. And then I'll measure what I have on one side, which is also going to be the same thing on the other side. So I measured from my back neckline to my armhole. So guys, I went ahead to cut my fabric that I'll be using to bias the top part, and I also ironed it to form a bias so that it will be easy for me to sew on. So the wideness of this is 2 inches, and then the length is longer than what I measured for my back neckline to the armhole. So I'm just going to place it from the back like so. You're going to come out with half an inch that you use to cover up the ending of the lacing bar like so. And then you're just going to sew with half an inch, then turn it over to the good side, which is the front, and then top stitch it. Just the same way we did for the bottom of the corset. So guys, after sewing one side, this is how it looks like. The next thing I'll be doing now is to fold the other end to top stitch it to cover up the rough edges. So I'll first of all use my pins to hold it down to the end so it can be easy for me to sew on. So after pinning it down like so, I went ahead to trim the excess I have on that end. So I'll also be doing the same thing on the other side of the back. And then when I want to cover up the front neckline, that is when I'll turn the both edges that are rough. So guys, after doing that, this is what I have it looking like. So I'll definitely iron it to make it relax. But before doing that, I want to first of all hem the neckline of the front. So first of all, I'll be sewing a regiline boning on the neckline of the front to give it more structure. So you're going to be using the same, you can use the same size of the boning, or you can use a smaller size, but I'll advise that you use a smaller size so it can be easy for you to hem it when you're done sewing. But if you don't have a smaller size, you can still make use of your normal regiling boning. And this is what I'll be making use of right here. So what you're going to do is measure what you have on the neckline on one end of the armhole to the other end like so. And then you're going to make use of a lighter to burn the rough edges of your boning. So after doing that, you're going to be sewing on the top of the boning on your neckline. So guys, ensure that you're sewing your boning close to the top edge of the neckline, just the way I'm doing it. So guys, after sewing the boning, this is what I have it looking like. So the excess of the boning that got to the top, I'll be trimming it out. So you're going to measure what you have from one end of the neckline to the other end on the other side. So I went ahead to cut a bias strip. I used the fabric to form a bias strip that I'll be using to hem the neckline. So you're going to cut whatever you have on the neckline, you're going to add extra to it. So the wideness is going to be 2 inches. So what I went ahead to do after ironing the bias strip like so, you're going to fold it just the same way you did for the other side of the neckline. You fold in half an inch on one side of the neck, and then you're going to start sewing with half an inch straight till you get to the other end. So guys, I went ahead to just use my pins to hold it down. Then I trimmed the excess that I have on the bias strip, remaining half an inch. Then I folded in the half an inch like so. So guys, after sewing, this is what I have it looking like. So what I'll do next is to bring out the fabric on the other side and then fold in the rough edge. Fold it in once and then fold it again to cover up the rough edges. So I can actually do that because of the boning. So this is why you need to work with a smaller bone to make it easier for you. So what I'll be doing now is to just fold it in and then I'll use my pin to just hold it down so it can be easy for me to top stitch on. So if it was a smaller boning that I used for the neckline, it would have been more easy for me to bias it. So guys, after pinning it to the end, I'll go ahead to stitch on the folded parts. So ensure that the neckline is neat on both ends. So after sewing, you're just going to iron your funnel corset to make it relax. You're just going to iron it flat. You don't need to use a bust stamp to iron it. So guys, if you find this particular tutorial helpful, please do well to subscribe to the channel if you're yet to subscribe. Like this video and also drop a nice comment. In our next video, I'll be showing you how to fix the bustier section. So guys, do well to turn on the notification bell so you can be aware when the new video drops. And also, if you end up making a funnel corset using this tutorial, please also let me know in the comment section. And you can also join our WhatsApp community where you can share your recreation to the group. So I'll be putting a link in the comment section and also in the description box on how to join the WhatsApp community. So at this point, we've come to the end of this tutorial.